All right.
We back.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to the next episode of Botstalk. I'm Kevin.
My name is Manny.
And I'm Josh.
And we are the Autobots.
Whoop, whoop.
Yeah, so we're finally doing this next episode after
1 month.
1 month of us being back from San Francisco, which our last episode was about when we were tripping on some magic mushrooms, which was a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun towards the end, because in the beginning that just sucked. But yeah, if you haven't heard it, check out our old stuff, our other stuff. I'm gonna get some water. I got that water. Yeah, I got that water. Shouts out to Schoolboy Q, Crash Talk.
Yep. Alright. What are we talking about today?
So, the real question in the room is, do you eat ass? Why or why not? Okay, so who wants to go first? Let's start with Josh. Josh, do you eat ass? Why or why not?
I don't really think. Well, that depends on the girl, No,
okay. Like now, do you eat ass? Like if there was a girl in front of you,
ass because there has never been a girl that I've been with that has been comfortable for me to do that.
But now the question is, do you want to?
Just to try it, I would say,
just so he had it in his bucket list.
Would you let a girl eat your ass?
No, because that's just hairy as fuck. I don't want any some fucking hairy up there and shit.
He has some girl with the
and I don't know how I feel about that because I don't know. It's just weird.
Hey, bro, just because you get your ass ate doesn't make you any less of a heterosexual male.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
No, I'm just saying.
It just shows your experience.
I don't know.
Just shows what you like.
I just want to know, if I would like it, how I feel.
Try it for Women's Appreciation Day, man.
There are some chicks that are like that though. They're like, oh, let me eat your ass. And I'm like, oh, what? What? No.
What?
No thanks. I guess. So you would try it if a girl was comfortable enough to allow you to eat her ass.
It will most definitely be after she showered and she dug up in there and make sure everything's clean. Cause I'm not eating no dirty ass with some shit in there.
So you're saying she's gotta bleach her asshole?
Yeah, pretty much.
You shouldn't have to bleach it. Like you can clean. There's ways to clean your asshole though.
Hey man, I'm just making fun of Kanye right now. He's like.
All right, Manny. What about you? Have you eaten ass?
Once.
And would you or would you not?
I wouldn't do it again.
You wouldn't do it again? It was a bad experience for you, or what?
You see far in your face or something? You got pink eye?
No, I didn't get pink eye. Or
ass stinky or what?
It was stinky.
Ah, damn. That's already, yeah. Mm-hmm. I feel you.
I wouldn't even come close to it if it was stinky, bro. I'd be like, no, you gotta clean.
She was hot.
You gotta put some air freshener up in there because that's gross. I would have been gagging if I got close to it.
Yeah, because honestly, there's a difference between a stinky ass and a stinky pussy. Because one is an ass and one is a pussy. because look, okay, if you think about it if you look at it like this, there's a way to you can still eat a pussy that's a little stinky. We've all had girlfriends and stuff, when you're in the moment and everything, it's you don't automatically think that you're gonna get some or whatever on both parties, and maybe that day she just didn't happen to shower, so she was a little stinky. I've eaten some stinky
maybe
pussy.
It was hot. It was hot and she had a long day.
Yeah, exactly. When you eat some stinky pussy, I'm not even gonna lie, the first few minutes are kind of rough. You gotta tough it out. But then afterwards, you kind of just don't even smell it anymore because the saliva from your mouth and everything.
That's why you gotta spit on it first.
Yeah. Well, I personally, I've never spit on it first. I smell it first. I'll punch it with my tongue. Fucking knock that pussy out.
Now, question is, have you even ever ate booty?
Have I? Yes, I have. I have eaten booty
And
multiple
what'd you do
times.
to get?
And what
Yes.
was your experience?
My experience was it was good because it was kind of like it was kind of normal, I guess. Like the ass wasn't stinky. It was.
Is this your first time you're talking about?
It was my first time.
Okay.
I mean, I've done it multiple times already, but I've only done it with one person.
Mm-hmm.
So I've never done it with anybody else. But with this one person, like every time that I did do it, she was clean. There was no smelliness from it. She actually taught me some things about it where she was like, eat the ass, or if you're gonna eat my pussy, eat that first and then eat the ass last.
Oh, yeah,
because
yeah,
you can't eat the ass and then eat the pussy because of like bacteria or whatever from the ass to the pussy, like because the woman's area is very sensitive.
Okay,
very,
would you ever eat ass with someone for like a first time experience with that certain person? Like,
Probably not.
Probably not. You have to be comfortable with that person.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Unless
where
the
that
person
dude
is like ridiculously hot, where it's like I'll do anything and whatever the fuck they want to pleasure them in this situation. But
what if she was super comfortable with the idea of it? Maybe she's just like used to it.
I would, like I said, if she was really hot, then yeah. Like if she was like smoking hot, like ridiculously hot, then yeah, I would. But even if she was, and I got down there and it smelled bad, I don't know. I might have to spit on it and like rub my thumb on there for a bit, really, really get that shit in there and then go for it. Like I'm giving y'all some game right now for whoever's use the thumb. But you know what? You gotta use the butt of the thumb. Alright? You can't use the tip of the thumb. You gotta use the butt of the thumb. And you gotta really get in there. You gotta don't really get in there, like push it in, but you gotta.
Like how you're playing Tekken or something, like when you're playing a video game.
Maybe take out, maybe take out like an Altoids, kind of rub it up in there.
Grab her butt cheeks and kind of like bunch it together and shit.
You gotta freshen it up a little bit.
Hey, you gotta do what you gotta do.
Hey man, that's a business idea. Tic Tac for the butt.
Yeah, butthole Tic Tacs.
So.
If you want your ass ate tonight, make your ass eat this tonight.
Oh my god.
But yeah, like I think there's such a big like kind of stigma on eating ass where like so many, especially when it comes to like the man's perspective or like the male enigma and shit or like gender and shit, like eating ass before like nowadays it's a little bit
because of Genetico, man. Remember, eat your booty like groceries. Yeah.
I honestly think that was a big thing about it.
I think so. I think that was a big thing.
But at the same time, I think like nowadays it's a bit more kind of
everything is
on
more,
the norm. Like
everything's more acceptable now.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Whereas like back then, like you couldn't like, and I say back then like fucking like 15 years ago, like less than that.
After
everything
the
was more
epidemic
like
came
taboo
up.
or like kind of forbidden. Like they never really tried it, but now it's kind of more normal.
No, they probably tried it.
People have tried it, but
it wasn't put out to the public as much as it is now.
Because of what happened in the 80s. Because what happened in the 80s, like people having AIDS and people having HIV and stuff like that, like. People,
you gotta be careful, like now.
Now people are much more careful still, but shit.
Yeah, so I think it's like it's become more of a normal kind of thing to do because if you think back in the day, like nowadays, like if a guy like there's a lot about like a guy eating pussy and everything, like giving the girl that like that good stuff and shit, like and it's very normalized now. But if you think like 10, 15, almost 20 years ago, like not a whole lot of people would be out like that saying, "Oh, I eat pussy," like things like that, like how they are nowadays.
Yeah, because it gives you more of a curiosity for it. Because now people are willing to try more things, just to like
for
spike
sure.
up their
or more people are outspoken about the things that they do, especially when it comes to sexually.
We're doing it right now.
Yeah, exactly. This podcast right now, like we're talking about eating ass and everything like that. Like, for all y'all who haven't eaten ass,
try it once.
Try it. Yeah, because you know what? Life is so unexpected. This is what I was saying in my video that I posted the other day too. Life is so unexpected, and like maybe this certain thing doesn't spark your interest because like not everybody is all like, oh, maybe I want to try and eat ass or like whatever. But maybe they have some other kind of thing that they want to experiment sexually, whether it's like having two partners at once, maybe it's having a partner from each kind of sex, maybe it's from having a partner from the same sex or whatever, and it's like their first time or whatever, you know? Like, people for sure, I believe, should experiment with these kind of things because, like, life is so stressful and life is so...
So are you saying you're going to try to experiment with the same sex?
I'm not saying that I'm going to do it because that doesn't spark my interest and that doesn't do anything for me if we're talking like sexually and everything.
But there'll be people who question themselves.
Exactly, yeah. There are people who are like, maybe like I would like having sex or maybe I would like doing certain type of sexual activities with someone of the same sex or someone with the opposite sex as well as the same sex, but we're all doing it kind of together, you know? Like there's so many like people that are kind of like that, but then they're like, no, I shouldn't because that's gonna make me gay or that's gonna like blah blah. It's like
that idea hasn't hit them in their mind, you know. They never really question themselves. Once that idea is out and they see it somewhere, they might actually think about it and say like, maybe I might be interested in doing this. You know, it might actually become something normal to me, you know.
Yeah, and like honestly, like it's all about a person being like self-aware and a person being comfortable with who they are, not with who society has told them that they should be.
Yeah, I feel like a lot of people who look at society as something to oppress them, they feel like they can't go off and explore who they really are.
Yeah, absolutely. That's why there's so much about like, like people who are gay and bisexuals and everything. It's like nowadays in our society, they are a lot more accepted than they were like maybe a few years ago.
Yeah. But 10 years ago.
But it's still kind of like, there's still kind of a long way to go for them to be fully accepted.
Not everybody accepts them the way they are.
But yeah, of course.
Yeah, we also live in California, so it's like we're still a very liberal state.
Yeah. But like I'm talking about like even just like all around like the country and stuff
and the world.
And the world too. Yeah. Like the thing is like I remember I think I was I don't know if I never said it I don't think I said it on any of the podcasts. But I know I have told you guys about where it's like the idea of like evolution. Like evolution both biologically and like in one society. Evolution, if you think about it millions and millions and millions of years ago, we were single cell organisms. Nowadays we're multi-cell organisms that have this whole complex system that goes around, but it's like millions of years ago, like we were single cell organisms. And how long did it take for the first single cell organism to become a multi-cell organism? And how long did it take for that multi-cell organism to grow things such as legs? Like us as people, like we weren't here from the beginning of the earth however and whenever it started. It was already millions and millions of years that passed when the first human, not Homo sapien, because that's the species we are now, but whatever species it was when, humanoids were around. Yeah. The Neanderthal. I think there was ones before that, too.
Of course. Neanderthals are the most closest genetic.
Yeah, the Neanderthal, yeah. There's ones before that. And I used to know the name, but I don't even remember anymore, because that was a long time ago. But, and so it's like, in our society and the way, like where we live and the way that we're living now, that we are the most conscious that this species has ever been, right? So it's like 200, 300, 400 years is nothing compared in evolutionary time, where in evolution it takes hundreds of thousands, tens of thousands, millions of years to just shift from like whether it be one species to the next or like just anything. So it's like things like what I think about is like slavery happened like 400 years ago or so.
No,
you know,
slavery had been going on for a very long time. We ended it in the States.
No, exactly. But slavery began like all those. Oh yeah, and it ended in our society,
around, like,
just basically barely like
Egyptian times,
like 100 and so, like less than 100 years ago or whatever.
Egyptian times.
Yeah, like, slavery had been going on for
a long,
very long.
Yeah. Okay. Well, then in our society, it was like about
like segregation.
When you're saying our
like,
society,
our society, like America,
like segregation.
This continent.
Yeah, they still had slaves on this side, and Native Americans had slaves.
Slavery's still going on today.
Yeah,
in some parts of the world.
Yeah.
Well, then
we haven't completely.
Yeah, for sure. Like it happened. Of course, it hasn't been completely. Like there's other things that go into it, but like I'm talking about like in our society, because you're saying you're like Manny, you're even saying like Native Americans still have slaves. Okay, but that wasn't part of the society that we kind of live in today. Even though, yes, like, the Europeans came and took over this continent and things like that, blah, blah. But, like, we're talking about our kind of society. Where, like, when we became, like, Americans, like, the Pilgrims came and all that kind of shit. And then even during, like, the wars, the independence wars and stuff, like, all of that was still bringing it up. But it's, like, 400 years in something such as evolutionary time is nothing. It's absolutely nothing. It's, like a penny to $1, you know. So it's like slavery.
We just cured like diseases in the past 100 years that they had before that. Like
like with technology and everything has rapidly made things go much.
But
quicker.
I do get where you're coming from because you're not getting to the point. The point is that
because we were discussing back and forth about how long slavery has been around.
No. Your point is that like we've been through it. Like we've been evolving continuously,
a lot quicker than before. Too.
And now that like there's things like your gender orientation or your sexuality or whatever, it's like these are things that
these are still new ideas. Basically,
like the more ideas come out, the like more young minds.
Well, I mean,
it's still a young mind.
Sexuality has just been criminalized ever since Christianity took place, because the Greeks were doing it for a lot of years before Christianity came in. And you know, we know like we've heard history stories of where guys or like, girls would just go in bathhouses and just fuck, you know, straight up.
Yeah. You're right. I feel you on that. But like as well, like from what you're saying. Because, I mean, I guess our society does kind of also derive from, like, ancient Greek and things like that. But that's because America is such a diverse kind of
No, well, because it comes from
place.
The Romans did take over a lot of the, world. And even in India, like, India was, remember, they created the Kama Sutra and blah, 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 whatever. They're a very sexualized world. But when Anglo-Saxon people came in, the whole country changed and became very conservative in their sense, whatever. That's what it is. People come in, they bring their ideals, and completely new things change. Now we're in a situation where it's a global thing that we hear, it's not just an American thing just to be
homosexual
or anything like that. Because I've had cousins that have been like, it's a trend. Nah, bro, it's not a trend. This is how people feel.
Being,
this is who they are, not just somebody like.
It's a person's like own piece.
Yeah, you can't say, this person is doing this just to be part of the norm or something. Nah,
that's how they feel. Like straight up, that's how they feel. They don't feel comfortable being with, like, let's say they're opposite sex. Then they don't feel comfortable doing, any like sexual things, or they don't feel a certain type of like love when they try and connect with the person. Like the other person might connect with them, but they don't feel the same connection. They might have tried that over and over again with the opposite sex, but same thing, no type of feeling. They feel like something's missing, but then when they try with their same sex, they feel connection. They feel maybe they relate more. Maybe they've gone through like the same backstory. They've always felt like an outcast, or maybe they felt like they were different. You know, their backgrounds might be the same, different, but they still feel the same for each other.
Yeah.
So,
and honestly, like all of that, like with all of that is still, it's, if you think about it in like how I was saying, like evolutionary terms, like it's a fresh kind of thing, because maybe it's happened for the last few hundred years, if we bring it back to like, or however many years ago it was, like with ancient Rome and Greek, but like especially now where it's like coming out in our society and many other societies, like it's been a long battle for like maybe a few decades now and everything, or like even the last decade, but like a decade is kind of like nothing, you know?
A decade ago we were...
A decade ago for us, like, you know, for all of us, obviously, like, it feels like a long time. And there's a lot of things that are going on. It's like, oh, we're in the 21st century. It's 2019. Like, you know, all these things should be accepted and blah, blah. And it's like, as much as I want to believe that too, because, like, I'm personally a person that's like, you know, by all means, love who you love, believe in who you want to believe in, you know, just be a kind person, do all of this, like, you know, to better yourself and the people around you and your society. But it's like, you have to think about like the places that the older generation is even coming from, because your grandparents, who could be 80 to 100 years old, 80 to 100 years ago, like there was slavery, there was segregation, there was like, you know, there was no laptops or cell phones and like all these kind of things. There was difference in beliefs and religion, to where things like Christianity and Catholic and all these very big and popular religions were just kind of controlling a whole lot of the society and everyone's situation. Nowadays, you're free to believe in what you want, even though obviously like a lot of people don't agree with a lot of people, but yeah, you have the right to believe in what you want.
I feel like internet, social media has to do a big part of it, because more people can
express themselves,
spill out their feelings, and you know, no matter how different you are, you can relate to those feelings in some type of way. And you know, once you can relate to them, you can kind of understand how they feel, whether if it's like same sex or, you know, you're going out with the opposite sex, it can still be related into what you're going through yourself.
Yeah,
it's the same type of love, just with, you know, same sex or opposite sex, same type of love, same type of feeling.
Yeah,
you know, it's all the same. It's love, whatever it is. It's love at the end of the day. You know, no matter who it's with, it's love, no matter what.
I mean, I think in the future years to come, maybe not in our lifetime, but even maybe in our lifetime, because with technology and everything, like things are progressing very quickly, you know. But I think in a future generation, there is gonna be a whole lot more equality throughout the genders and throughout sexual orientation and people's races and things like that there are, because nowadays, even in 2019, like you see, if we're talking about something like race, you see a lot of colored people, Hispanics, blacks, or whatever, with white people. Yeah, you know, like, or just mixing of the races, where you wouldn't see that like 50 years ago.
There are like parents who are like, you know, they're white and they didn't really care about the whole race thing.
And there's even mixed babies and shit everywhere.
Yeah,
you know, like
they never really cared. But this whole race thing, like racism and all that, and discrimination, is taught by the older generations.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because if you're a little kid, a little baby, growing up with someone who's been a racist, or you know, you're taught only about hate. If they can unlearn that and then, like, you know, be taught just love, you know, because we're all the same type of people. We just need to connect more. Because if you're just taught hate your whole life, you're only going to know about hate. And if you're taught some way, if you're taught to like, but let's say there's like a racist, and then like there's like either a Hispanic, a person of color, like in a room together, and they were stuck. They didn't have like anything. I feel like over time they will come to an understanding. You know,
Yeah,
because
for sure.
we can't just live your life and just hate all the time. You know, you gotta come to an understanding at one point.
I mean, that's the big idea of it all. Like,
Yeah.
obviously there are a lot of people who live their whole life where they hate
Yeah.
certain people of color
Yeah,
or like
and,
certain
like, I
people
feel
of
like-
religion and stuff.
I feel like I do want to help out people who are like that, because I've seen like people who were born into like a racist family overcome that, and you know,
Yeah,
actually
yeah.
became very friendly, and they consider the people of color their family because they made friends later on through the years who are either black, Hispanic, or whatever. That was cool. They've learned to like overcome like that hate and really understand the person. You know, I just feel like it's a lot of like false information between people of color that racist like white
absolutely.
people. Yeah, because that's what it is.
False information on both sides.
Yeah,
Yeah.
on both sides. Yeah, yeah.
It's just that's what it is. What's that word with the B?
I don't know. There's a lot of words.
It's the ignorance of just what do you call not understanding or knowing what the other culture comes from.
Or even wanting to understand.
Yeah, because like
I
as we know, like I get mistaken for being a Muslim all the time.
Yeah, just because you wear a turban.
You just wear it because I wear a turban. You see, like we go out and like people just stare. Like
Yeah.
you instantly, I walk into a room, I get a bunch of eyes on me immediately.
Absolutely.
And
sure.
a good example of that is Jonah Lucas, that video. Forgot what it was.
I'm
called.
not racist.
I'm not racist.
Yeah, I'm not racist.
Yeah, that's a really great song.
Yeah,
I
it's
honestly
a
believe
perfect
that's a good
example
song.
of like how whites and people of color can misunderstand each other. The whites,
Mhm.
I would say, is just misinformation about the blacks and people of color, just because they were taught that and they don't really know the whole story. And then I would say like people of color not understanding like what they were taught growing up. That they just feel they're just racist just to be racist. No, that's what they were taught like growing up. But if they can come to an understanding, you know, we can really and finally not be a divided people, but be people who truly understand each other, and you know.
Damn, but can you imagine how prosperous a nation would be if there were no racism in the society, in the culture?
We would be living in a different world. There wouldn't be.
It would be for sure.
There wouldn't be any like. There would hardly be any violence. Like,
because there would still be violence.
There would still
like,
be violence for sure.
But there wouldn't be any like racial or
just
hate violence.
discriminate like violence.
Well, look
like
at
that.
Japan. Well, Japan, technically, because all they do is it's mostly because of nationalism, and they have criminalized and like gun control and everything. Their country has like the least amount of crime in like the whole
for
world,
sure.
you know, like, and you see that because of that, people use their like time to do other things.
Mm-hmm. That's why Japan is also so very like advanced like technologically.
Oh yeah.
You know, like their shit in, like, I mean, I've never been to Japan, but like the shit I've seen online about people who've gone to Japan and just shit in Japan is like bruh, like we don't have any of this shit here in like the United States. Like we look like a primitive fucking nation compared to like these guys who have all these like crazy technological things. I'm like, Japan looks great.
Hell yeah.
You know,
They got hot
like
chicks over there. They got Japanese food, which over there is probably
Of course.
Japanese food.
because it's probably just called food over there. Like.
But you know what? You know that podcast I was talking to you about Joe Rogan, and I forgot this other guy's name. But in the beginning, they were talking about like drug addiction. You know, that they have the whole thing wrong because they've had like, like lab rats, had them caged up. They had two types of water they could drink. One is just water, just regular water. One is water with like heroin. I forgot the
Heroin's a strong drug, though.
yeah. What's the name for it? The main thing for
I
heroin.
have no idea. Okay.
But
Poppy?
he was no, it was so when they were caged up, the rats only went for the water that had heroin, right? But if you look at it a different way, they tried another let's say just like another way of doing it.
Like another study.
Another experiment where they left the same water and then water with heroin, but this time they weren't caged up. They had like different options to do. They had other like rats with them. They weren't just like by themselves. They could have all the sex they want. They can like play with toys or like whatever they wanted to do. And with that study, that experiment, they mostly went for the water. Not with the water with the heroin, because they had more options.
They had activity.
They had activities. So if you can compare the rats to like our society, if you had neighborhoods that were mostly poor, that didn't have much to do, they didn't have these opportunities, let's say for them to acquire new skills, and they just didn't have that type of like hope or that type of experience to like go out into the world and try these new different things. They've only had that same thing staring at them in the face, like which is like drugs. They only went for the drugs. But if they had more of these opportunities, they would probably go out and do something.
And you know
else.
what the crazy thing is? I think it would be if they had more opportunities for those opportunities, because of course there's opportunity, let's say, for everybody, but I'm going to use this example because it is a very widespread example that everyone kind of knows. Let's say like in black communities, you know, especially in really ghetto black communities, you know, like there's like a lot of drug addiction that happens in those kind of communities because a lot of people in those communities feel trapped. Just like how you were saying, they feel like the rats trapped in a cage.
In black communities or like Hispanic communities, like in LA, people have
you rural white communities.
Like most of them have never left LA. They've only been stuck there. They haven't experienced the world.
But at the same time, like what I mean about having opportunity for those opportunities is like, let's say like in these, then, you know, let's not just say black communities, but like in these rural kind of communities, black, Asian, Hispanic, white, whatever, you know, they're also still in our society discriminated against due to their background, due to their skin color, due to this, due to that. So they don't even have the opportunity to get out of this trapped cage that they're in because no one wants to give them an opportunity for them to show what they want.
After slavery and segregation, the people who own businesses were mostly whites. And then some of them may or may not have been racist, but the ones who were racist did not give them a call back. Of course. This can be for like a whole another podcast, but then like that's when like the drugs came in, like, you know, the government put in more drugs and guns into like
certain communities, so that's why there's more violence and more drugs. They can have like an
actual like something for them to sell, so they can put food on the table. It's not because they wanted to, it's because they were forced to do that. So
the war against drugs is like such bullshit because the government is the ones that like really put out the drugs mostly in our communities.
Because
and stuff, like
where the fuck were they getting those drugs from? Like, of course it had to be from like fucking the government putting it in their face because they weren't getting any callbacks from jobs, and they had to like sell it in order for them to put in a plate of hot food at the dinner table for them to like support for their family. Some of them may have been fortunate enough to like get a job, and you know, you can see like some of them
having that kind of income coming in.
And like income and the opportunities for their children. And you know, there's some like people like, you know, people of color who've had grandparents or parents, you know, strive and, you know, become successful. But then there's, for the most part, it's like they've come from a broken family, they've struggled
from a broken place, you know, because like,
and I feel like they just struggled and they didn't have as many opportunities as they could have had, and
that they should have, because
Yeah.
honestly, so many opportunities, and like let's even just go with like job opportunities, and not even the most luxurious job opportunities, like stuff like getting a job at Taco Bell, at McDonald's, or like whatever, you know, like even in some of those jobs where like you know, first of all, you're getting paid minimum wage anyways, like there's still some like management and everything that discriminate against certain people because of their race, color, religion, whatever it may be. So like there's still these other people that are trying to even find a job can't, because they're being discriminated against because of their race, color, religion, whatever it fucking may be. And like that's what I was saying about like some people don't even have the opportunity for the opportunity. You know, it's like you can't. It's tough for people to expect somebody that's coming from a broken family, a broken home, a broken place that's full of drugs and violence and stuff to be successful, which is the best opportunity, when they can't even get the opportunity to get a job. So that they can start saving up money and legally saving up money so that they can go to school, or so that they can invest in this and that to create the opportunity to make their own business, or to do this and do that and stuff.
You know, the point I was coming to, I just remembered right now, is what I appreciate from like artists like Kendrick, or people who've come from like
for sure,
from like or like Nipsey Hussle, who've came from these
sure.
broken down communities.
Hey, shouts out R.I.P. to Nipsey Hussle.
Yeah, they've built themselves, you know, even going through all that shit, the ghetto and like these broken down communities. They've experienced it, they grew up with it, but they've overcome it. They didn't let it bring
society
them down.
bring them down.
Society bring them down, and they've strived, and then they became somebody. And they gave back to the community, so so that the younger generations can, you know, have more opportunities to become something in life, so they can, you know, because the most that you want to do, if you really care about the people in your surrounding area, is to give back to them, give back to your own community, so they have more options, so they can become somebody in life, you know, because I feel like that's wherever you grew up, no matter how hard it was, you gotta respect the fact that, you know, you grew up there, and you have respect for anybody who's been there, you know, because the people who are around you have gone either with similar things or the same thing you've been through, you know,
or even worse sometimes. You know, some people have gone through like shit, you know. Like,
and if you can help them out in some way, like, by all means, you know, they're your own people.
Yeah,
you know,
for sure.
They're your own people,
for
and
sure.
like, you know, you all come from like the same type of culture, and you know, I just feel like that would be best. That's how you.
And that's really the great thing about like how you were saying about artists that do make it out of these situations and give back to their own communities, because like you can't expect the government, honestly, like in all honesty, you can't expect the government to fix the problems in all of these communities that are broken down and everything, because the rich
stay rich, the poor stay poor.
The government and the rich people and all that, they don't even want to give funding or donate to these places that have schools that don't have enough teachers, or schools that don't have the right teachers to teach these students and stuff, or the right tools, or the right curriculum, or like the after school programs are being shut down because the school doesn't have enough funding, or like the city doesn't have enough funding for people to get jobs and stuff like around their own
fixing the roads, fixing like their own city,
exactly, or like building homes and like or renovating homes that are like around so that people can like have a better chance at life and things like that. It's like the government's not going to do that. We already know that through decades of it not happening. So it's like it's such a beautiful thing when these artists, if we're talking about like, you know, music wise, like that come out and really give so much back to their own communities. Like that's really why, honestly, like I feel like when Nipsey Hussle passed, like, or when he was murdered, like it hit like Los Angeles community and everything hard. Not just because of his music. Like his music was great and he always sent out a message and things like that. but he really did so much for his community to bring the city of Los Angeles, like Crenshaw and all that stuff, up. He gave so many people jobs. He put so much money into the community itself because he bought property and he did all this and that. And it's like, even damn, like he was in his city, like that was his city. Like everyone loved him there, and it's like him getting taken out like that by some punk ass that like didn't like what he was saying. Like,
yeah, dude.
Like, I think that was more of why it hit so much harder than him just being a great artist. You know,
it just like shows you like the ignorance of like his own people, of him helping out his own community, of what his own type of people can be, but that's what it shouldn't be.
But you know what? That's over hundreds of years of conditioning.
Yeah.
Because like I'm not even gonna lie, like yes, like because the African American, the black community and everything have been so segregated and like through slavery and all that kind of stuff, so that like nowadays, like as much as it sucks, like that you see so much black on black crime or things like that, it's like I understand it to a certain point because slavery and segregation was just abolished like what? Like 70 years ago, 1960s or something,
50 years ago,
19 some shit like that, you know, like yeah. So that wasn't even that long ago, really. Mm-hmm. And like their grandparents and stuff lived through that, and their grandparents brought up their parents that brought them up, that brought their whole community together. So like as much as like I really want like especially like the black community, because I feel like that's one of the communities that has been attacked the most and still is, in our society, like I really want that community to prosper, and like because and the great thing is that there's so many artists and so many politicians and things like that come from these communities that really do want to do that really want to bring it up and like want to put in everything that they can to make this community prosper, because like that's their people, that's their familia, that's like their shit. So
if this were like if this world was just rid of all that negativity and that violence, just imagine like how much black excellence there will be, or like people of color excellence rising up from that. How much more talent there will be, how much more artists or lawyers and like judges and like
great people coming
up from that, because there will be so many opportunities for these young kids, these young minds, for them to prosper into like something big. Yeah. But they just don't have the tools to become that. They're just taught, or they're just shown violence. That
they can't be that.
Yeah, that they can't be that.
They can't be that. And that's not possible.
They're only shown what they're shown in their own neighborhood, or what from like they see on TV or movies. They're only shown that.
And that's why a lot of like black artists that we listen to and stuff, like rap artists, say in their lyrics like, I wasn't supposed to make it past 21. I wasn't supposed to make it past 25. Yeah. Like, bro, someone who's 25 is still young. Like, very, very young.
That's us right now.
Exactly. 25. Exactly. It's like I've luckily have never felt that I shouldn't have made it past this age because of my background and where I grew up. Like, I personally didn't grow up in like very bad neighborhoods. I've been in some bad neighborhoods, but I didn't really grow up necessarily in them. But it's still kind of heartbreaking, it's like hearing
for you to understand like where they come from. Like,
yeah, like I have empathy for them and everything, like that sucks really. Yeah. And I wish that wasn't something that a lot of people in the black community could relate to, because a lot of them can. A lot of them can relate to that, and that's so sad. That's what I feel is so sad. Like
even the Hispanic people, a lot of them go through like a lot of gangs.
Oh yeah. With the black and Hispanic communities and everything, like for sure, like especially out here in America. This is America.
Yeah.
But shit. All right. Well, I think we've spoken pretty good amount.
Yeah, I just got quiet at the end.
I know, because you're in your thing. You're doing your shit too.
Yeah.
But, well, thank you everybody who listened through. Follow us on Instagram. What's the Instagram? Botstalk. Is it bots underscore talk?
We couldn't do botstalk.
I think I tried that, but it didn't work. So it's BOTS underscore TALK. Check us out. Putting out some new content. And yeah.
And give us some topics for next time. If you guys have any ideas of.
If you guys want us to interview anybody, let us know.
Yeah, let us know what you liked, what you didn't like. If you have anything you want us to talk about or to change.
Suggestions
are always welcome.
Or anything. No.
Love you.
All right. Bye, everybody.